Considering the fact that they're in the GOAT debate, it's almost impossible to think players like Messi and Ronaldo have any fears on the pitch. But what if I told you that they both have opponents they dread facing? Sounds unbelievable? Well, hold on to your seat because the answer will shock you. From Cristiano Ronaldo's ultimate challenger to Erling Haaland's unexpected adversary. It's about to be a ride. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Erling Haaland versus Virgil van Dijk. Starting with the deadliest striker in the world today, Erling Haaland. Haaland admitted that his tough opponent is Virgil van Dijk, and that's not really surprising. They faced off on the international stage and at club levels, both when Haaland was at City and back during his time at Salzburg. Acknowledging Van Dijk, Haaland said, "Van Dijk, I always said it, I think he's so good. He's smart, fast, and in the air he's just unreal as well." Virgil van Dijk versus Olivier Giroud. But interestingly, Van Dijk himself doesn't consider Haaland his toughest opponent, not even Messi or Ronaldo. Instead, he revealed that his most formidable adversary is Olivier Giroud. It might sound unexpected, but Giroud always manages to find a way to score against Van Dijk. Speaking to Gary Neville in 2022, Van Dijk said, "I always felt like I had him, but somehow he always managed to score against us. Whether it was for Arsenal, Chelsea or France, he always scored. The year we won the Premier League in the 2019-20 season, we beat Chelsea 5-3. We were winning comfortably, but he's still scoring against me." He added, "He is that guy that scores against me and just that annoying person." Griezmann's woes with Frenkie de Jong. On the other hand, Olivier Giroud's teammate, Antoine Griezmann, has his own nemesis in Frenkie de Jong, a player from Virgil van Dijk's team. Back when de Jong was at Ajax, Griezmann was finding him to be challenging, and things didn't get easier when they became teammates at Barcelona. During training sessions, de Jong likely continued to provide Griezmann with a formidable opposition. When asked about his greatest adversary, he says, "I would say Frenkie de Jong, because I tried to pressure him, but I never succeeded." Actually, it's rather unusual that a midfielder can be an attacker's worst nightmare. Rashford struggles against Kyle Walker. In the case of Marcus Rashford, Kyle Walker has been the consistent thorn in Rashford's flesh since as far back as his days at Tottenham and continuing to his time at Manchester City. In the roughly 15 encounters between them, Rashford has managed to find the net only 3 times. It's quite understandable that Rashford prefers to avoid squaring off against Walker, even during England's training sessions. Harry Kane's unexpected toughest opponent. Speaking of England, the Three Lions captain Harry Kane has an unexpected choice for his most formidable opponent. Despite his extensive years in the Premier League, one might assume that Kane's toughest challengers would be defenders like Van Dijk, Ruben Dias, or even Vincent Kompany. However, Kane surprises us by nominating Giorgio Chiellini as his fiercest adversary. The two clashed on approximately 4 separate occasions, both at the club and international levels, and each encounter proved to be a daunting task for Kane. Against Chiellini's defences, Kane managed to find the net only once, showing just how much of a challenge the Italian defender posed to him. Vini Jr.'s battle against Ronald Araujo. Vini Jr.'s most challenging opponent is none other than Ronald Araujo. Their on-field clashes have created quite a spectacle in recent years. It's been a thrilling show for us viewers, but for Vini Jr., it's been a different story. Araujo's relentless defences have been a consistent source of frustration for him, a true thorn in his side. It's safe to say that nobody handles Vini quite like Araujo does, making him a formidable adversary whom Vini Jr. has grown weary of facing. Jude Bellingham versus Ilkay Gundogan. Meanwhile, Vini isn't the only Real Madrid player who dreads facing a Barcelona adversary. His new teammate Jude Bellingham shares this sentiment. Bellingham openly acknowledges his most challenging opponent to be Ilkay Gundogan. Their encounters have taken place on 4 separate occasions in the Champions League, back when Bellingham represented Dortmund and Ilkay Gundogan played for City. Bellingham revealed he could barely get close to Ilkay as he was fast and smart. He made several attempts to tackle him, but was unsuccessful. Dominik Szoboszlai versus Luka Modric. Dominik Szoboszlai's toughest opponent to face is Luka Modric. Interestingly, they've crossed paths only twice, once in the Champions League and once during the Euro 2020 qualifiers. Nevertheless, on both occasions, Modric proved to be a formidable adversary, leaving a lasting impression on the young Hungarian. It just goes to show how a brief encounter with a seasoned player like Modric can leave a lasting impact on a rising talent like Szoboszlai. Bukayo Saka versus Sergio Busquets. Next up, Bukayo Saka made the most unexpected revelation. Would you believe that the PFA Young Player of the Year singles out Sergio Busquets as the most formidable opponent he's ever encountered? It might sound surprising, given that their sole meeting occurred during a pre-season friendly in 2019. However, that singular encounter proved more than enough for Busquets to make an indelible mark on Saka's memory. N'Golo Kante, a common foe. Now, if you were to guess Bukayo Saka's most formidable opponent, the answer is clear: N'Golo Kante. To be completely frank, it comes as no surprise whatsoever. Kante's ability to dominate the midfield tells all the tale. Another person who dreads facing N'Golo Kante is Jack Grealish. For Grealish, the mere sight of Kante's name on the team sheet is a nightmare. But enough about the younger generation. It's time to discover who the football veterans despise facing. Robert Lewandowski versus Sergio Ramos. For Robert Lewandowski, his most formidable adversary on the field is none other than Sergio Ramos. It's almost expected, considering the history of battles between the former Bayern and Real Madrid players, particularly during those intense Champions League encounters. While Lewandowski's choice of Ramos as his toughest opponent might not come as a shock, here's one that will genuinely catch you by surprise. Kevin De Bruyne versus Neymar. One might naturally assume that his toughest opponent would be a defender or at the very least a fellow midfielder, but surprisingly, Kevin De Bruyne's most formidable opponent is Neymar. It's undeniably one of the most unexpected revelations on today's list, given De Bruyne's prominent role as a forward player. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Ashley Cole. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for is here. Cristiano Ronaldo singled out Ashley Cole as his most formidable opponent. To be honest, this revelation isn't particularly surprising. In Ronaldo's earlier years, characterized by his effortless dribbling past defenders, there was a lone exception: Ashley Cole. Ronaldo himself concedes that facing the former Chelsea stalwart was consistently a tough challenge. He acknowledges that whenever he went head-to-head with Cole, the English defender afforded him minimal breathing space. Lionel Messi versus Pablo Maffeo. Now that you've heard of Ronaldo, Messi is next. With his type of skill, you would almost think he has no fears. While Messi has won pretty much everything there is to offer in football, the 7-time Ballon d'Or winner revealed that back in 2020, while still at Barcelona, who his toughest opponent of all time was. He said, "Pablo Maffeo of Girona was the toughest. I've never been one who complains, but that was intense." Antonio Rudiger versus Lionel Messi. Antonio Rudiger reveals that his most challenging opponent is none other than Lionel Messi. While we witnessed how adeptly the German defender handled Erling Haaland in the Champions League, when it came to facing Messi, even Rudiger's confidence falters. Honestly, who among us wouldn't feel a twinge of apprehension in the presence of such a footballing legend? Bruno Fernandes versus Declan Rice. On the other hand, Bruno Fernandes dreads encountering Declan Rice, and it's quite understandable, especially after that memorable Premier League clash between Manchester United and Arsenal. In that game, Rice asserted his dominance over the midfield, orchestrating play with authority, and then, in what was a stunning display of skill, unleashed a breathtaking goal late in the match. It was a performance that left a lasting impression on Fernandes and showcased why Rice is such a big adversary. Goalkeepers Nightmares. Manuel Neuer revealed that Cristiano Ronaldo is that player who has haunted him for years. It's a name that sends shivers down the spine of even the most accomplished goalkeepers, so I totally understand. For the record, Ronaldo has scored against Neuer 10 times. Considering how formidable Ronaldo is as an opponent, one can only imagine the pride Neuer must have felt when he managed to save a penalty from Ronaldo during the shootout of the 2012 Champions League semi-final. It was a moment of glory for the keeper against one of the greatest footballers in history. Similarly, Aaron Ramsdale is another goalie who has a tough adversary. In his own case, his toughest adversary is Jamie Vardy. Ramsdale has had the experience of facing Vardy as a Sheffield, Bournemouth and Arsenal player. Remarkably, Vardy has managed to find the net against him on 4 occasions, which, quite frankly, doesn't come as a surprise. But what is truly surprising is Ramsdale's declaration of Mikel Antonio as his most formidable opponent. This is a goalkeeper who has gone head-to-head with the likes of Ronaldo, Messi, Haaland, Kane, Aguero, and more. However, in his eyes, Antonio stands out as an exceptionally vexing adversary, particularly during set pieces. There you have it, guys. Who do you think has the most shocking opponent? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more football content.